Hey, folks, if you haven't done so already, please click that subscribe button below. That'll help us grow as a show, attract better guests. Together, let's make healthcare better for everyone. Once again, click that subscribe button. We'll see you on the next one.
Get ready to take control of your healthcare. Here's your host, Ray Coburn.
Whatever the hell you want. I love the title. There's got to be a story there. Where did that name come from?
Well, it's interesting because I really struggled with the title because I thought it sounded a little bit like dismissive, like, well, whatever the hell you want. Like, sometimes you say something to someone like, whatever you want, I don't care. And it's almost like a passive aggressive way. And our publisher was so in love with it. She's like, you don't understand. It is exactly what you're saying. Like, get over it, Keri. I'm going to fight you on this one. And I had to sit with it and say, no, I get it now. I get it. I just had a more passive aggressive in my head, but then I got it. Yep. I'm like, no, it really is go do whatever the hell you want. It's fine. It's as long as you're not hurting people, that's different. Right. But if you want to not get married, fine. If you don't want to have kids, fine. So forget all these expectations that everyone puts on you. So yeah, but I even had an expectation with the title and I had to let that go.
I love it.
Right.
So yeah. When I looked at the title, I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. But so I was trying to wrap my head around it. I was like, so do they really mean whatever the hell you want? Or is it passive aggressive? Are they just saying whatever you want to do? Because I would imagine, long histories in HR, it is a thankless job for the most part. And it's kind of like herding cats or dealing with preschoolers at times, I would imagine.
It is all of the above, for sure. I think it's one of those things where your passion for helping people see potential that they may not see in themselves is what drives me to be in human resources. Plus, you get kind of a sneak peek into a side of the business that not a lot of people have an opportunity to really understand. And you're kind of meeting people in many cases in very vulnerable states. They might be going through a loss. They might be going through indecision regarding their career, their path, what their future looks like. There might be a leader who's a first time leader who has to have a difficult coaching conversation, isn't sure how to do it. So to be someone who can be a support system, an advocate for both managers and employees, as well as the company as a whole, it means a lot to me. So I do get a lot of the gratification from within, because you're right, you're not always going to get a lot of thank yous, because HR, unfortunately, is not always portrayed in the media as being a really great ally. There's plenty of stories of bad experiences with HR that people have committed to memory. And there are TV shows that don't necessarily paint us in the greatest light either. So a lot of employees just want to know that someone cares about them, and their manager it's the closest relationship they have, most likely in the workplace. They look to their manager for questions on their job performance, for questions regarding maybe new information that was recently shared. Maybe I listened to a town hall meeting and I was confused by something, so I need my manager to help, steer me in the right direction or give me perspective. So that manager-employee connection is so powerful. And when you can pick up and read a room or read someone and say, is something going on today? Are you all right? What's happening? Anything I can do to help you? That just means everything to an employee, because it shows that you're caring about me holistically, not just on the technical aspects of my job and what I come here and am paid to do. So to your point about what Jack Welch said, Brene Brown says something similar, in that to be clear is to be kind. And so we're not kind managers if we're withholding information from employees that could greatly impact their future success at our company. So if it's a tough conversation, I'm uncomfortable having it, that's when you practice with HR. We truly are here to help you. We bring no judgment, because this is a first-time situation for many people, and no two situations in employee relations are really ever the same. Keri and I talk all the time because we encounter situations that we haven't really either dealt with in the formal aspects. But to be able to help coach a manager and guide them on how to have those conversations is incredibly important. And it instills in the courage and the confidence to be able to have that, so that the employee does feel like they're cared for.
So, the name of the podcast is Broken Healthcare. So I'm really curious to get your take on where the U.S. healthcare system is, where you think it's going, and where your colleagues, can focus their attention and time for the better of their organization.
First of all, I love that you have this podcast because it is broken. Yes, thank you. And I was thinking about it this morning and I'm like, okay, what do you want to say besides like 15 swear words first on the healthcare system? That's what I would say first. I'm like, okay, settle down, Keri. Not positive, but what can we do? And I think it is totally broken. It is and I think we get to see a little bit more of why it's so broken in HR because we see the rate increases. We see kind of behind the scenes of who they deny. We see that it doesn't affect everyone the same way, that certain people get maybe different rewards, or it's, the company covers more of their costs versus other people. So we see I think, a more disturbing and uglier side of the inequities of it. And I think there's a few things as a system that HR folks, I wish they wouldn't accept so readily, where the insurance comes in and says, oh, you know what? It's a 10% increase. There's nothing we can do every year. And the HR folks say, oh, okay, there's nothing we can do. And I think that kind of goes to our book too, which is like, screw the expectations. Come on. What can you say? Like, F you, like Kelly said to her math teacher, like, no. And, sometimes that is it. But what can you do to either get more like an RFP? Don't just accept it so readily. It is the biggest expense besides payroll in HR. And from an HR perspective, we only really deal with it kind of once a year in open enrollment, right? And then, so the HR folks for the people out there who think, oh, HR must think of benefits all the time. Once a year during open enrollment, when it hits that, oh, it's an 18% increase, you're like, okay. And then you have to push everyone through the system like a snake eating a rat, and you push them through the system. And then people complain. You're like, okay. And then you wait for another year. And so I think there's so much HR can do by just pushing on that, breaking boundaries on it, and kind of just pushing on, okay, are there different things we can do? How can, like Kelly and I have direct primary care. We do a medical sharing, and we only learn that because of our mutual friends, Ray, who understand like different ways to look at the healthcare system. So even in HR, we didn't know there was different ways to do it. And we were in HR and we didn't know.
Yeah. And so exactly. And yet we have so many HR folks that I think are well-intentioned, but they're not looking at this, or they're blindly trusting their broker, and without realizing that their broker, like the face of the brokerage, is probably a personal friend of theirs because they work together, right? They may go out to lunch, dinner, the game, whatever. A friendly, amicable relationship. And brokers are really great people creatures. They know how to schmooze and all of that stuff. But at the end of the day, that representative is not likely calling the shots on what are the options that we're going to present to our clients. Typically, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but a status quo broker is going to come in and they're going to spreadsheet various carriers, and they're going to show you what the percentage increase proposed by the incumbent carrier is versus the others, and the whole decision process is it going to be more noise to go to Blue Cross from United? Blue Cross is 2% lower, but do we want to disturb or upset the apple cart? And they don't realize that in the background, the broker is really in cahoots with the carrier because they're lavish with these persistency bonuses. And so it's in their best interest to have the client stick with United. And I'm just using United as an example, not to pick on them. It could be the other way around as well. But there are all these misaligned incentives that are at play behind the scenes, behind the curtain, that no one is talking about. And if you're an HR professional, you're not you're not thinking about this stuff, right? You're focused on a million other things. And here walks the broker, here walks the broker with your renewal, and they're giving you these options, and you think that's
Right.
all there is. I don't see anything else on the spreadsheet, right?
All right, that's a wrap. Hit like, follow, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time.